Hello, and welcome to the Cooke Young Scholars Program Overview. My name is Stacy Johnson. I'm the Marketing Coordinator here at CTY at Johns Hopkins University, and I would like to introduce today's presenters. First, we have Anya Keys. She's the manager of the Young Scholars Program and has been at the Cooke Foundation for 10 years. Prior to her role as manager, she supported young scholars and families as an educational advisor. And before that, she taught high school English in both Boston and Washington, D.C. She has a 5-year-old daughter who loves unicorns and a 7-month-old son who loves his sister. We also have today Louise Rigdon-Smith. She's an educational advisor serving in her 2nd year at the foundation. Before joining the Young Scholars Program, she taught for 8 years at the middle and high school levels and spent 4 years as a school counselor. She is passionate about creating spaces for students that encourage wellness, mental health, and self-expression. When she's not advising students, she's hosting a dinner party, arranging flowers, or binging her newest Netflix obsession. So now I'm going to turn it over to Anya and Louise.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Stacy, for that introduction. We really appreciate it. So we are going to go ahead and get started, and thank you again for joining us and taking some time out of your early afternoons or depending on where you are calling in from. We are so happy to have you here. So we are in this session going to provide an overview of the Cooke Foundation Young Scholars Program. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cooke Foundation. We're going to describe the Young Scholars Program experience. We're going to chat through the eligibility and criteria, all of which are also available via the Cooke Foundation's website. The steps to completing the application, and then applicant support. So that is kind of our overview for our time together. So the mission of the Cooke Foundation, this is a foundation that has been around for a little over 20 years, and it is dedicated to advancing the education of exceptionally promising students who have financial need. And the Young Scholars Program very much lives out this idea through the programming that it provides students, as well as the financial support. All right. So when we think about the Young Scholars Program, and if you've done any sort of research or looked at the website materials at all, there are really 3 pieces that are important to keep in mind about our program. So the first is personalized advising, and we do a lot of work. Louise is going to jump in a few moments and talk about the educational advisor. Personalized advising to assist with things like 4-year planning, selecting where a student is going to go to high school, all the way up through college advising, kind of at the bookend of the program during a student's junior and senior year. So we really take an individualized approach to advising, and it's one of the coolest parts, in my opinion, of the Young Scholars Program, and something that we hold very important. More than just scholarship funding, we really want to focus on one-on-one advising. Secondly is the financial support. And so this program is offering a certain amount of funding each year for things that are important to a student, their goals, their interests, things that they want to explore. It's important to note that this is a different program than the Cooke Foundation's college scholarship program, which also there's tons of information about that on the Cooke Foundation website. But the Young Scholars Program can support things like summer programs, which we'll get a little bit more into, music lessons, art classes, things that are important to a growing, interested young person. The final piece is the scholar community, and I think that is one thing that, again, sets the Young Scholars Program apart from other types of scholarships. We put a big emphasis on doing things together in what we call cohort models. So a group of students that come into the program at the same time are called a cohort. And so you can see there on the screen, summer programming often has a community element. There's opportunities for internships, study abroad, which can typically also happen in the summer. and different opportunities for leadership. And I'll turn it over to Louise, who can talk a little bit more about the educational advisor.
Yeah, absolutely. So in our role as educational advisors, as Anya said, we really try to tailor the conversation to that scholar. So there is certainly no one size fits all model to advising. We really try to come alongside the advisor and their family, help them discern their goals, figure out what's next for them, and then really craft an intentional plan that helps them reach those goals. So when they first enter the program as eighth graders, one of the things that we're really starting to talk about is high school selection. We certainly don't have any preference about where a scholar attends high school. We just want to make sure that they are in a community that's supportive, engaging, and rigorous. So for some of our scholars, that means the public high school option, which we fully support. And for others, that might look like a private day school, a boarding school. It just depends on what the scholar's needs and goals are. We also, throughout those 4 years of high school are working on crafting that 4-year plan and really thinking about, what's the end game goal? And in the process of getting to that end game goal, what is it that you want to develop in yourself? So we have, long-term goals, but we also want to work with scholars on short-term goals to help them, create a more well-rounded version of themselves. And that's where the individualized learning plan ties in. So this is essentially a combination of the 4-year plan and their goals, as well as the budget aspect of the Young Scholars Program to help them find experiences that are going to deepen their knowledge, grow a new interest area, and like Anya mentioned, build that community within our scholars. And I will say briefly, that's one of the things that I think really, really sets the Young Scholars Program apart is that our scholars are deeply connected to one another. They look forward to seeing each other and are always in contact with one another, via Discord or whatever the messaging app of the day is. And then to that last bullet point, yes, so that community and that connection happens in many different ways. It might be a virtual hangout where we're all on a Teams call together, kind of talking through a salient topic for that particular month, or it might be the summer program where students are at a college campus doing research together. So that's the educational advising piece. I love doing this work and it's really fulfilling. And I think my scholars think so too.
I can attest that that is true. So I mentioned a few opportunities of what scholarship support might look like. So you'll see here, summer programs, we'll again dive into those in a little bit more detail in just a moment. Online courses, music lessons, software and technology, depending again on what a student needs and also their interests. Conferences and competitions, whether those are based in their community or within their school community, and then the opportunity as well for internships. Louise mentioned that we have a lot of young scholars that attend their public high school. And one of the things, again, that we do is help evaluate schools during that 8th grade year, a scholar's first year in the program. And some students who do choose to pursue independent day or boarding options, it is important to note that families also then will apply for financial aid. So our funding is unfortunately not robust enough to pay tuition costs outright. But if a family applies for financial aid and reduces that amount that the family must pay, then it's a conversation that we can have. So certain academic expenses absolutely would fall into this list as well. Okay, so moving more into now the summer experiences. These are really fun for us to talk about. And also the young scholar community. So I'll back up. So Welcome Weekend is a program experience that takes place this coming year. It will take place in November. So November of 2024. This is a required experience. So everyone will come together from all over the country, the newest group of young scholars. And young scholars with one adult supporter will come to Virginia and have a weekend where we basically welcome them. We welcome all of you into the program. We'll do programming about what it means to be a young scholar. Scholars will have a chance to connect with each other, as Louise was saying, to like start building friendships and getting to know one another as a group. Adult supporters will also have a chance to connect and hopefully make some friends as well. And this is a program experience that we do every year for each new class of young scholars. And it's very fun to be a part of, lots of energy in this weekend, and it's a really great event. We also have a required experience for rising ninth graders. So when young scholars get accepted into the program as eighth graders, they'll go through their eighth grade year. And then in the summer before ninth grade, we have a program called First Summer. This is always an opportunity that takes place on a college campus. Scholars get to practice leadership skills, prepare for high school, have the chance, if they've never spent any time away from home before, to learn what it means to kind of like get up in the morning and go to, some type of academic class before then doing some type of maybe group work or project, and then community activities in the evening and weekends. It's typically a 3-week program, and the location changes each year. For the current cohort, they're going to be at the College of William and Mary here in Virginia this summer in 2024. And then the location might be the same in 25, but it also might change depending on our partnerships at different colleges. There's also a program called Senior Summit, which you might imagine is the summer before senior year. This is a required program experience where, again, the whole cohort comes together and does a mentorship opportunity under the support, the tutelage, we'll say, of a faculty professor or a grad student or someone who is working highly in their field in an area that the scholar is really interested in. And so they get to do a research project together, again, on a university campus, and it's a multi-week research experience. So again, really looking forward to colleges and sort of career readiness and practicing all of these important skills at these amazing summer programs.
Okay, so to talk a little bit about what happens after the Young Scholars Program. So during their senior year, young scholars will apply to become college scholars, and the Cooke College Scholarship will offer up to $55,000 a year to support costs related to attendance at a 4-year university. Most of our scholars do transition into this program pretty seamlessly. There is an application process, and we do invite external folks to apply to the college scholarship, obviously not under the umbrella of the Young Scholars Program. It can be a huge relief to families to know that they have such robust financial aid to support them in the college experience. And we do advise, each of our scholars, no matter what, to apply for this college scholarship to further their connection with the Cooke community and also to provide that financial support.
Okay, so moving into eligibility. So applicants must be in their 7th grade year this year, so this school year, or they will be entering 8th grade in the fall. So we know sometimes that doesn't always align. So just keep that in mind for the student that you have in mind, or if you happen to be that student. And then in terms of grades and coursework, we are looking for mostly A's. A B here or there is totally fine, but mostly A's in core academic subjects. And that includes English, math, social studies, science, and a language, if that is available to you in your school. And of course, if it's not, there's going to be an opportunity to note that on your application as well. The scholarship program is, of course, first and foremost an academic program. So while we love to support scholars and all of their talents and everything else that they do, the academics are at the root of it. And so that's why understanding a student's academic profile is a big part of selection. Applicants must reside in the U.S. or a U.S. territory and must attend a high school in the United States. And then in terms of financial need, the AGI, or annual gross income, that a family must fall under or up to is $95,000 a year. And the typical sort of mean or range of families that we're supporting have AGIs that are closer to or below $65,000 a year. But the top threshold is $95,000 a year. these are all, again, listed on the Cooke Foundation's website.
So would love to talk a little bit about selection criteria, and honestly, reading through the Young Scholar applications and going through the interview process is one of my favorite components of being an advisor. I really love looking at the profiles that scholars put together and getting that first kind of touch point with them in the interview. So as Anya mentioned, this is an academic scholarship, and we are looking for those scholars who are intellectually curious. Think of the student that you know that is going beyond the classroom to learn. We are into our pointy students, right? The students that have like their one concentrated area of interest, and we also welcome our more well-rounded students who may have multiple areas of interest. But academic achievement really is foundational. As we mentioned before, the summer programs are rigorous and they are on college campuses, so we want to make sure that our scholars are prepared to engage with that content and feel confident going into those spaces. So we would encourage students to take honors classes where available, even AP classes if available, but certainly within the range of their capacity. Persistence is incredibly important. As we know, life is hard, especially when you're in middle and high school. So we look for those scholars who have faced challenges and overcome them, and are not afraid to ask for help, right? That's something that we really try to drive home with our scholars, is that, we're not looking for perfection. We're not looking for the student that doesn't have any blips in their history, but somebody that's overcome those things and has continued to improve with time. Leadership experience is valuable. Certainly within the community of scholars, we've had tremendous accomplishments by our scholars. I'll speak to one of mine in particular, who started her own nonprofit research opportunity for middle and high school students. And she is one of many scholars who's gone on to do things like that in high school and beyond. And the last thing that I would mention, that's more of a softer skill, if we'll call it that, is the ability to be empathetic and have an open-minded worldview. Obviously, our scholars come from all over the nation, from various backgrounds, and have unique experiences. And we're really looking to incorporate community members that are going to welcome, all walks of life, and really have compassion for people who are different than them, and curiosity, right? Genuine curiosity and respect for others that are different than them. I think we have a really unique system in that we are taking scholars from all over the country, and so they get to learn from one another, and I think that's a really exciting piece of this opportunity.
All right, so within the application itself, there will be basic student information. You all know how to do that. There will also be information about parent or guardian. You will submit report cards from the 6th grade as well as the 7th grade up until this point in the year. You'll ask for recommendations from 2 teachers. If it's possible to have core subjects again, so the math, English, science, social studies, or a language, that's great. Sometimes that's not always possible. So do what you can. But a recommendation from a teacher who knows you well is also great when that can happen, because we can then get a sense of how is this student, performing in an academic setting? What are they like with their classroom peers? What's going on kind of in their academic community? That isn't always possible. So of course, if you do have any questions, there will be a way to reach out about that. But that is that's helpful from a selection standpoint. You'll be able to list your activities, honors, any awards that you have. And then there's also 3 short responses and 1 longer essay that you'll get to choose the longer essay that you write. And I think it's important to remind applicants that, especially for the short responses and also for the long response, write about topics that are important to you versus what you think we might want to hear. So make it personal, and you can still write it, of course, in a way that is professional and sort of like for an application, but certainly don't feel like there's a list of topics that we have handy and that we're checking off if applicants are talking about sort of things that are in the news or more controversial. Nope, like we want to know what matters to you and why. And so if that voice can come through in your essays, that really matters. And then in terms of financial documents, there will be an opportunity to self-report AGI from the last 3 tax years. So all of this will be shared again via the application portal, and there's a way to follow up with, and if you have any questions as you're filling out materials. Stacy, did you want me to hand it back to you here?
Yes, so that concludes our presentation. So I do want to thank Anya and Louise. Let me go ahead and end our recording.